It's always wild to see a series get picked up for a big Hollywood adaptation, and what we're seeing recently is that sometimes the best ones get adapted all over again. For nostalgia, for lore accuracy, for a whole lot of fun, these can be an absolute blast to watch. Of course, today we're talking about Percy Jackson, the Rick Riordan series that reintroduced a generation to Greek mythology, summer camp shenanigans, and a love of all foods blue. We've gathered up 100 facts about the series for you to sink your teeth into, so grab your clicky pen and hold on tight. We're about to get started. Number 1. The idea for Percy Jackson actually came from a very personal place. Author Rick Riordan used to tell his son Haley bedtime stories about Greek gods and heroes. When Riordan ran out of real myths, his son asked for a new hero, so he made one up. Percy Jackson, a modern demigod boy on a quest to recover Zeus's stolen lightning bolt. Haley, who has ADHD and dyslexia like Percy, was enthralled. After 3 nights of storytelling, Haley told his dad, "This should be a book." Number 2. Riordan wasn't sure when he'd find time to write that book, since he was a full-time middle school teacher, but he loved the story so much that he spent the next year secretly writing The Lightning Thief, often at night and on weekends. It was such a fun change from his adult mystery novels that he couldn't put it aside. In June 2005, Percy Jackson and the Olympians' The Lightning Thief was published, and Riordan's life would never be the same. Number 3. It wasn't an easy road to publication. Riordan's manuscript for The Lightning Thief was actually rejected multiple times by publishers before it finally found a home. In 2004, Miramax Books, an imprint of Disney, bought the book, with an advance large enough that Riordan was able to quit teaching and focus on writing full-time. Looking back, those publishers who passed on Percy Jackson probably feel like they missed out on catching a lightning bolt. Number 4. Once The Lightning Thief hit shelves in 2005, it quickly became a hit with young readers. The book was selected for Al Roker's book club for kids on NBC's Today Show, hugely boosting its profile, and was named a Best Book of 2005 by the School Library Journal. Number 5. Within a few years, Riordan's modern demigod tale turned into a runaway bestseller, and won state Reader's Choice Awards, like the Mark Twain Award in Missouri. Percy Jackson went from bedtime story to a publishing phenomenon almost overnight. Number 6. To make sure the book would click with kids, Riordan test drove the manuscript with his own students before publishing. He gave a few 6th to 8th graders the drafts, which, he admits, made him as nervous as his students waiting for grades. Fortunately, they loved it. Number 7. His students also gave him great feedback. They even helped him choose the final title and refine some character details. For example, one student suggested how Percy's magic sword should work, as a clicky pen that turns into a sword, which Riordan adopted. Number 8. These student test readers also appreciated seeing a hero with learning difficulties. Riordan's son Haley was in the process of being diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia while Riordan was writing The Lightning Thief, and that directly inspired Percy's character. In the books, Percy discovers that his ADHD and dyslexia were actually indicators of his demigod brain, hardwired for ancient Greek and combat. Number 9. This was Riordan's way to honor kids like his son. He wanted neurodivergent readers to realize it's not a bad thing to be different. Sometimes it's the mark of being very, very talented, as he later wrote. Percy Jackson famously made ADHD and dyslexia superpowers, which many fans found empowering. Number 10. Riordan always planned Percy's saga as 5 books. He had the major plot arc outlined from the start, beginning with The Lightning Thief and ending with the big prophecy payoff in The Last Olympian. He firmly believed a series needs a clear ending, and he didn't want to stretch Percy's story beyond the point where it stayed exciting. Number 11. At one point, fans begged him for a book 6, but Riordan jokingly reminded them, all good things must end, guys. Number 12. Of course, Riordan wasn't done with Camp Half-Blood after book 5. He had a ton of extra myths and side characters he still wanted to explore, so in 2010 he launched a sequel series, The Heroes of Olympus. This introduced new demigods, including Roman heroes from Camp Jupiter, while bringing Percy and Annabeth back in a new prophecy. Riordan basically expanded Percy's world into a shared universe of 15 books, adding Heroes of Olympus and Trials of Apollo. He admits, "I thought 5 books would be all I'd need to cover Greek mythology. Of course, I was wrong. There were many more stories to tell." Number 13. Riordan approached the sequel series with a deliberate strategy. Heroes of Olympus wouldn't just repeat Percy's previous adventures, it would expand and innovate. He introduced a diverse cast of new main characters and the idea that the Greek gods have Roman personas, which allowed fresh plot twists. Many old favorites like Percy and Annabeth return, but Riordan emphasized that the new series isn't the same as the original, and that's the point. A story has to keep developing to be fresh, and if the author gets bored, the reader will too, he explained. Number 14. After Heroes of Olympus, Riordan continued to innovate with a third Camp Half-Blood series, The Trials of Apollo. This time he flipped the script. The protagonist is not a demigod, but a god, Apollo himself, cast down to Earth as a mortal teen. Writing from the point of view of a formerly all-powerful Olympian was a unique challenge that Riordan couldn't resist. "I've used the points of view of numerous demigods, but never before had I tried to write in the voice of an immortal Olympian," he said. Trials of Apollo made Camp Half-Blood feel fresh and new for him all over again. Number 15. In addition to the main novels, Riordan wrote lots of bonus Percy Jackson stories. He's done several crossover short stories where Percy meets characters from his other myth-inspired series. For example, in The Son of Sobek, Percy Jackson encounters Carter Kane from Riordan's Egyptian mythology series, The Kane Chronicles. In The Staff of Serapis, Elizabeth Chase teams up with Sadie Kane. These crossovers show that Riordan's Greek, Egyptian, and Norse myth worlds all coexist, essentially creating an Avengers-style Riordanverse of interconnected mythological heroes. Number 16. Percy's world also intersects with Riordan's Magnus Chase series. Magnus is actually Annabeth's cousin in Boston, linking the Norse and Greek mythologies. Annabeth and Percy make cameo appearances in these books. Annabeth visits Magnus, and Percy ends up training him on how to fight sea monsters. Number 17. Let's talk names and characters. Percy Jackson's full name is Perseus Jackson, after the Greek hero Perseus, one of the only heroes in mythology who got a happy ending. In the story, Percy's mom gave him Perseus, hoping that he too would be a hero who survives and lives a good life. His last name, Jackson, was a nod to Riordan's own family. Jack was Riordan's grandfather's nickname, and Riordan liked how Jackson sounded for a hero. Number 18. Fun fact, Jackson was also the surname of the Private Eye character in Riordan's earlier mystery novels, so he'd used it for years. Number 19. Annabeth Chase got her first name simply because Riordan liked the sound of it. In fact, he made it up. He'd never taught any student named Annabeth. Annabeth's personality, though, was inspired by one of the greatest Greek heroines, Atalanta, a fierce, swift huntress often depicted as a blonde warrior. Riordan has said he envisioned Annabeth as a modern Atalanta, brilliant, brave, and fiercely independent. She could famously outrun all her suitors, fitting for our favorite daughter of Athena who's always one step ahead. Number 20. Grover Underwood, Percy's best friend and resident satyr, earned his name in a funny way. Riordan jokes that he must have watched too much Sesame Street as a kid, because when he needed a friendly name for a lovable satyr, Grover just popped into his head. Fortunately, our Grover is much more competent than the blue Muppet Grover. Well, at least slightly more competent. His last name, Underwood, hints at his nature. He's a creature from under the woods. Number 21. Many of the characters' names in Percy Jackson are shoutouts to people in Riordan's real life. For example, the math teacher Mrs. Dodds, who turns out to be a Fury, is loosely based on an actual Mrs. Dodds who taught at the school where Riordan worked. Number 22. Mr. Brunner, Percy's kindly Latin teacher, is named after the Latin teacher at Riordan's own school. Mr. Brunner, of course, is Chiron in disguise, and that real Latin teacher was delighted to be immortalized as a wise centaur. Number 23. Likewise, several camper characters are literally named after Riordan's former students. Connor and Travis Stahl, the prankster sons of Hermes, were real kids Riordan taught. Same with Charles Beckendorf, Miranda Gardner, and even Nico D'Angelo. Those first names came from students in Riordan's classes. It was Riordan's way of giving a fun tribute to students, though he always changed the last names. One student, Nico, was so excited to become a character until Riordan later revealed Nico D'Angelo's big secret in the House of Hades. This left the student playfully saying, "Gee, thanks, sir." He was kidding though, he was actually honored to share the name. Number 24. Rick Riordan was a middle school teacher for 15 years, and he drew on a lot of classroom experiences to write Percy Jackson. He taught English and history and would use Greek myths to engage even the most reluctant readers. When Percy Jackson took off, he was still teaching for a while. He juggled grading papers by day and writing adventures by night. Number 25. After selling the Percy series to Disney's publisher, the deadlines got intense. At one point, he was expected to write 2 books a year, one for kids, one for adults, and Riordan had to make the tough decision to leave teaching and write full-time. Number 26. Riordan says the good part of quitting the classroom was that he could reach way more kids through his books. "I still get to work with kids as a children's author," he says, "and hopefully get more kids interested in reading mythology with my books than I ever did as a teacher." Considering millions of young readers have gobbled up Percy Jackson, we'd say he absolutely achieved that. Riordan never lost his teacher mindset either. He often includes educational guides and mythology glossaries in his books for curious fans. Number 27. Before Percy Jackson, Riordan was actually known for a very different kind of book. He wrote an award-winning mystery series for adults, the Tres Navarre novels. His first novel, Big Red Tequila, in 1997, won the Edgar Award for Best Mystery Debut, and its sequels also won major crime novel awards. So Riordan went from writing hard-boiled private eye adventures to modern mythological fantasy. Talk about a genre jump! Number 28. Riordan's cast of heroes became increasingly diverse in terms of race, gender, and sexuality. As the books go on, we meet demigods of many backgrounds, from Latina daughter of Aphrodite, Piper McLean, who is Cherokee, to African-American son of Hephaestus, Leo Valdez, Chinese-Canadian son of Mars, Frank Zhang, and more. Riordan wanted his modern kids of Olympus to reflect the real world's variety. He even introduced LGBTQ+ heroes like Apollo, who is depicted as proudly bisexual in Trials of Apollo, and Nico D'Angelo, who comes out as gay in the House of Hades. When Riordan revealed Nico's sexual orientation, some readers were surprised, but it made sense for the character, and it meant a lot to many young LGBTQ+ fans. In fact, Riordan has noted that his book's audience is wonderfully diverse, and he feels a responsibility to make all his fans feel safe and seen. Number 29. Not every character revelation was planned from the start. For instance, the fact that Nico D'Angelo is gay came as a surprise to Riordan as he was writing The House of Hades. Riordan realized that Nico's feelings were a major part of his isolation and pain, and to ignore that would be unfair to the character and readers. So he went with it. Nico's coming out scene was handled with love, and Riordan received tons of thank you letters from young LGBTQ+ fans. He said he didn't set out with an agenda for Nico, but once it clicked, it would have been a disservice to pretend it didn't exist. Some readers initially balked at the reveal, but many of them did come around. Riordan shared that he even heard from a few formerly skeptical fans who later said that Nico's story helped them have conversations with gay friends or family members, opening minds through empathy. In the end, Nico became a trailblazing character who means a great deal to a lot of readers. Number 30. When Disney announced the new Percy Jackson TV series in 2020, one of the first casting controversies was over Annabeth's look. In the books, Annabeth is described as white and blonde, but the show cast Leah Sava Jeffries, a talented black actress, as Annabeth. Unfortunately, some trolls complained. Riordan's response? He defended Leah fiercely in an open letter on his blog. He said anyone judging Leah solely by her appearance had missed the core message of his books, and that anyone can be a hero, and you should never prejudge someone. He affirmed that Leah is Annabeth because she nailed the character's personality and strength. Number 31. In fact, Riordan had been very clear from the start of casting that they were looking for the best actors to embody the character's spirits, not necessarily to match superficial traits. As he wrote, "You are judging her appropriateness for this role solely and exclusively on how she looks. She is a black girl playing someone who is described in the books as white. You are missing the point." Riordan reminded fans that Percy Jackson is about valuing people for their talents and heart, not their outward appearance. The fan community overwhelmingly supported Leah, and the young actress proved to be as smart and tough as Annabeth herself in facing down the initial ugliness. Number 32. The Disney Plus Percy Jackson and the Olympians series, Season 1 released 2023, is truly a dream come true for Riordan, and it's remarkably faithful to the books. Riordan and his wife Becky were heavily involved as executive producers, and Rick even co-wrote the pilot episode. This level of author involvement is rare in Hollywood, and it shows. The show sticks very closely to the book's plot and tone, with a few new surprises. Riordan said that his goal was to make the series the adaptation you've been waiting for, and by all accounts, he delivered. Number 33. One big difference in the new TV adaptation versus the old movies: the ages of the characters. The original film cast had 17-year-olds playing Percy and Annabeth, which really changed the story's vibe. The Disney Plus series corrected that by casting 12-year-old Walker Scobell as Percy, and similarly age-appropriate Leah Jeffries and Ariane Simhadri as Annabeth and Grover. This preserved the coming-of-age feel of the books. As one reviewer noted, seeing actual kids on a dangerous quest reminded audiences what it means to be a child going on dangerous adventures. It recaptures the original heart of the story. Number 34. Another thing the show gets right: it embraces iconic details from the books. The episode titles for Season 1 are literally the chapter titles from The Lightning Thief, like I accidentally vaporized my pre-algebra teacher, we visit the Garden Gnome Emporium, and more. Seeing those exact titles on screen gave book fans goosebumps of nostalgia. Number 35. The production also put the characters back in orange Camp Half-Blood t-shirts, had Annabeth with her famous New York Yankees cap and dagger, and yes, Percy's pen sword Riptide is exactly as it should be. It's clear the show's creators did their homework, or perhaps read their homework. Number 36. The TV series has been a massive success so far. It premiered in December 2023 to strong reviews and a huge audience. Disney reported Percy Jackson and the Olympians was among the top 5 most watched original series across all streaming platforms in its debut month. The show has drawn in old fans and new viewers alike, proving Percy's appeal is truly universal. Number 37. It was such a hit that Disney renewed it for a second and third season almost immediately, greenlighting an adaptation of The Titan's Curse well before Season 2 even finished filming. Number 38. The new series has also earned critical kudos. In 2024, it garnered 16 nominations at the Children's and Family Emmy Awards, including nominations for its young cast and for visual effects. It even won the 2023 Kids' Choice Award for Favorite Family TV Show, Slime and All. This kind of awards recognition for a fantasy adventure show is pretty rare, and it underscores just how well done and beloved the adaptation is. Number 39. On set, the young cast truly embodied the Camp Half-Blood spirit. They even celebrated Percy Jackson's birthday on August 18th while filming. Disney posted a behind-the-scenes photo of Walker, Leah, and Ariane with blue cupcakes in honor of Percy's favorite color. Number 40. Walker Scobell has read all the books multiple times and is a huge fan of the series himself. You can really feel that enthusiasm in their performances and camaraderie. Number 41. The god Hermes is played by Lin-Manuel Miranda. Yes, the Lin-Manuel Miranda of Hamilton fame. Miranda happens to be a big fan of the Percy Jackson books, and he jumped at the chance to play the speedy messenger god. Walker Scobell said that working with Lin-Manuel was amazing. He's exactly like how you'd imagine Lin-Manuel Miranda to act on set. The casting was perfect. After all, Hermes is the god of travelers and thieves, and who better to embody quick-witted charm than the guy who wrote My Shot? It's a fun bit of stunt casting that had fans cheering. Number 42. The Percy Jackson fandom is one of the most passionate in literature. The series has spent over 750 weeks, or 14 plus years, on the New York Times Children's Series bestseller list. It basically never left the list since it debuted, which is a testament to new generations constantly picking it up. In 2020, fans on Twitter started the hashtag Disney Adapt Percy Jackson, and even a petition with tens of thousands of signatures campaigning for a faithful reboot. Riordan acknowledged that fan passion, and many believe it helped show Disney that a Percy series would have a massive ready-made audience. And they were right. Number 43. In fact, the Percy Jackson series hit 500 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list in 2021, and in 2023 surpassed 750. That put it in the company of Harry Potter and a few other elite series for longevity. Over 180 million Percy Jackson books have been sold worldwide, in more than 35 countries and 37 languages. Number 44. For those counting, Percy Jackson's age and timeline work a bit differently than our real-world calendar. Percy was 12 years old in the first book, which is set in 2005. He's 17 by the end of the fifth book, which takes place in the summer of 2009 in-universe. Interestingly, Riordan deliberately avoids stating exact years in the text. The timeline is a bit floating. This way, new readers can imagine Percy in the present day, and the story never feels tied to a specific decade. As of the latest book, The Chalice of Gods in 2023, Percy is a senior in high school, but Riordan doesn't age him in real time, otherwise Percy would be almost 30 by now, which he isn't. This timeless approach keeps Percy perpetually in his youth for each new wave of readers. Number 45. Speaking of The Chalice of the Gods, that 2023 book marked Percy Jackson's return as a first-person narrator after a long hiatus. Riordan hadn't written a Percy-centric novel since 2009, having focused on other heroes instead. But with the TV show coming, he decided it was the perfect time to revisit Percy in a new adventure during his senior year. Number 46. Fun fact, Riordan revealed that the quest in Chalice of the Gods, which involves Percy performing a series of tasks to help get college recommendation letters, was originally an idea he pitched years ago in case the movie series wanted a standalone filler film plot. The movies never went that direction, so he turned it into a book, and now it's confirmed to be the start of a new trilogy, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Senior Year. That's right, Percy's story isn't ending anytime soon. Riordan has 2 more Percy novels planned, ensuring we get to follow him through graduation, if he survives that long. Number 47. The orange Camp Half-Blood t-shirt with the black Pegasus logo has become an iconic symbol of the series. Early on, no official merchandise existed, so fans made their own Camp Half-Blood shirts to wear to book releases and conventions. Riordan remembers being delighted, and a bit surprised, seeing homemade camp shirts at his book signing lines. Now, of course, you can easily get an official one, and the Disney Plus show even updated the design slightly, but kept the spirit. Orange is a must. Wearing a Camp Half-Blood shirt is like a secret handshake among fans. Demigods represent. Number 48. The blue food. We can't talk Percy Jackson without mentioning Percy's affection for all things blue. This stems from a sweet running joke. Percy's mom, Sally, had a horrible husband, Percy's stepdad, Gabe, who once claimed blue food doesn't exist. Sally, being awesome, proved him wrong by serving only blue food, blue cake, blue candy, blue pancakes, to show that arbitrary rules can shove it. Percy inherited this love for blue snacks as a symbol of rebellion and his love for his mom. So yes, Percy will have a blue Coke, blue cookies, blue jelly beans, and you can bet the first thing he did when he finally defeated Gabe was celebrate with a whole feast of blue junk food. The color blue basically became Percy's unofficial mascot color. Number 49. Percy's magical sword Riptide, Greek name Anaklusmos, has one of the coolest origin stories. In the books, we learn Riptide originally belonged to Hercules. It was a gift from Zoe Nightshade, Artemis's lieutenant, back in ancient times. Percy inheriting it is a neat link between modern demigods and legendary heroes of old. Riptide appears as a simple ballpoint pen that can transform into a celestial bronze sword. Number 50. Bringing up the chapter titles again, many are brilliantly comedic. They often reference pop culture or common phrases, giving you a laugh before the chapter even starts. For example, we take a zebra to Vegas, or I battle my jerk relative. These actual chapter titles capture Percy's snarky tone. In The Titan's Curse, one chapter is titled, I Open a Coffin, a twist on the Pandora's Box idiom. And in The Last Olympian, there's a chapter, Rachel Elizabeth Dare is really cool. Percy's tongue-in-cheek narration shining through. These witty chapter headers became a signature Riordan move, and fans love quoting them. And as we mentioned before, the TV show continuing this tradition by titling episodes after the book chapters was a huge treat for longtime readers. Number 51. One running gag that spans the whole series is how Mr. D, Dionysus, constantly mangles Percy's name. To the camp director god, Percy is Peter Johnson, Perry Johansson, Pierre Jorgensen, anything but Percy Jackson. It's Dionysus's not-so-subtle way of showing that he doesn't really care about these kids, but interestingly, this trope comes straight from mythology. In Greek myths, gods often showed disrespect to mortals by messing up their names. Fans have taken this joke and run with it over the years, intentionally referring to Percy with random P-names for laughs. Number 52. Did you know Thalia Grace's name has mythological significance? Thalia in Greek means blooming, and was also the name of one of Zeus's 3 daughters in myth. Thalia was the muse of comedy. Riordan likely chose it because it's a strong, unique name, and perhaps as a nod to Thalia's sense of humor and vibrant personality. Number 53. Ironically, Thalia, the daughter of Zeus in the books, has one big fear: heights. She's terrified of them. Percy finds that hilarious, given that her dad is literally Lord of the Sky. This is one of many little ironies Riordan throws in, like how Percy, son of the sea god, isn't at home in water, while Thalia, daughter of the sky god, is afraid of heights. Heroes have layers, folks. Number 54. Over the years, Riordan has expanded Camp Half-Blood's world with companion books and spin-offs. There's the Demigod Files from 2009 and the Demigod Diaries from 2012, which include short stories and even interviews with characters. One short story in the Demigod Files, Percy Jackson and the Stolen Chariot, was actually published in a magazine first. It features Percy helping Clarice, daughter of Ares, retrieve her dad's stolen war chariot. Riordan also put out Camp Half-Blood Confidential in 2017, a faux camp orientation guide written in character by the campers, which is full of jokes and world-building tidbits. Basically, if you ever wanted to read a Camp Half-Blood newsletter or camp handbook, they exist. Number 55. Riordan's success with Percy Jackson allowed him to launch an entire imprint dedicated to mythology-based stories from diverse cultures. In 2018, he started Rick Riordan Presents under Disney Hyperion. Instead of writing all these stories himself, Riordan uses his platform to elevate other authors from various backgrounds. Number 56. The imprint has published hit series about Hindu mythology, Roshani Chokchi's Arusha series, Korean mythology, Gracie Kim's Last Fallen Star, Maya mythology, J.C. Cervantes' Stormrunner, and many more. Riordan's goal is to let kids explore the whole world of myths and see heroes that look like them, written by authors of those cultures. It's a fantastic legacy beyond Percy. Essentially, Percy Jackson opened the floodgates to a treasure trove of global myth adventures. Number 57. The impact of Percy Jackson on real education has been enormous. Teachers often use Percy Jackson to get students hooked on Greek mythology, and it works. There's even a term some use, the Percy Jackson effect, where suddenly an entire class of kids will know all the Greek gods and even correct the teacher on mythological details. One anecdote. A librarian once told Riordan that after Percy Jackson, the library's copies of the Iliad and Olaire's Book of Greek Myths were suddenly flying off the shelves. The series made mythology cool again for a new generation. Number 58. The fandom culture around Percy Jackson is vibrant and creative. Every year on Percy's birthday, August 18th, fans flood social media with blue food pics, fan art, and favorite quotes. There are even Camp Half-Blood camps, where kids and teens dress in orange shirts, get claimed by godly parents, and go on mock quests. Essentially, live-action roleplay inspired by the books. At pop culture conventions, you'll spot plenty of cosplayers dressed as Annabeth with her New York Yankees cap, or Percy with Riptide in hand. Number 59. The fandom has its own jargon, too. Calling someone a seaweed brain is an endearing reference to Annabeth's nickname for Percy, and fans often identify their own godly parent, declaring themselves children of Athena, Poseidon, etc., often via online quizzes. Number 60. The fandom even has a pet name for the author. Fans affectionately call Riordan Uncle Rick. The origin of the nickname is rather sweet. Around 2013, Brazilian fans on Twitter began referring to him as Tio Rick to express their fondness, like he's the cool uncle who always shows up with great gifts or great stories. The nickname caught on globally and has taken on multiple meanings. Uncle Rick is used with great love, and sometimes with playful frustration, because Riordan is known for trolling his readers just a bit. He's the kind of uncle who gives you amazing adventures, but isn't afraid to end a book on a cliffhanger or make you wait a year for the next installment. Number 61. Before the TV show became a reality, Percy's fans could only dream of a faithful on-screen adaptation, and they came very close to making it themselves. Did you know The Lightning Thief was turned into a full-length stage musical? It started as a 1-hour off-Broadway show in 2014, produced by TheatreWorks USA for young audiences, then was expanded into a 2-act off-Broadway musical in 2017, and even had a limited run on Broadway in late 2019. The musical featured original songs like Good Kid and My Grand Plan, and a small cast playing multiple roles. It was a scrappy, creative production. Critics praised the stage show for its humor and heart. In fact, The Lightning Thief, the Percy Jackson musical, received 3 Drama Desk Award nominations, including one for Outstanding Musical. Number 62. Riordan wasn't directly involved in the stage musical. He didn't write it, and in fact, he couldn't bring himself to watch it at first. Much like with the movies, he finds it hard to see adaptations of his work. But he knew about it, and by all accounts, the fans loved the musical. Riordan noted that because the team tried to be very faithful to the story, the musical resonated with book readers. They nailed it, he said, relying on feedback from those who saw it. The musical's dialogue and lyrics are full of inside jokes for fans. There's even a song called The Campfire Song where campers banter much like in the books. It toured nationally and introduced a lot of new people to Percy's world through theater. So even though Uncle Rick never saw the Broadway show, he gives it a thumbs up since the fans enjoyed it so much. Number 63. Now, let's address the previous on-screen adaptations. The Percy Jackson movies, 2010's The Lightning Thief and 2013's Sea of Monsters. When the first movie came out, fans were initially excited, but were quickly disappointed by how much it changed. Riordan himself had no control over these films. He wasn't involved in the script or production. In fact, he famously never even watched the movies in full because he didn't want them to affect how he saw his own characters. He did, however, read the script, and he was not pleased. Back in 2009, Riordan wrote an urgent and now legendary email to the movie's producers outlining his concerns. In it, he said, "Having said that, here's the bad news. The script as a whole is terrible," bluntly warning that if they went ahead with it, fans would be angry and disappointed, and the movie would likely flop. He even predicted that viewers who hadn't read the book would find the story nonsensical. That email later leaked to the public, and fans gave Riordan props for basically prophesizing the movie's reception like the Oracle of Delphi. Number 64. Riordan's scathing letter to the filmmakers has become the stuff of fandom legend. It's often cited to illustrate how the author himself tried to save the adaptation from going off track. Number 65. Fans have performed dramatic readings of the letter on YouTube for laughs, with lines like, "If I were trying to sabotage this project, I doubt I could do a better job than this script." Ouch. Number 66. Ultimately, the Lightning Thief movie and its sequel, Sea of Monsters, deviated a lot from the books. They aged the characters up, omitted or combined key plot points, and added random stuff. For example, the Hydra battle, which in the books doesn't happen until book 2, was randomly inserted into the first movie, taking place at the Parthenon in Nashville. Number 67. More egregiously, Ares, the main antagonist of Book 1, was entirely cut from the first film. They actually filmed the fight scene with actor Ray Winstone as Ares, but it was deleted, so Ares never appears at all. If you watch the extended edition, you can see Percy fighting a god of war made of fire, a remnant of that cut sequence. These changes baffled fans. Number 68. The second movie tried to mash parts of books 2, 4, and 5 together, even having the Titan Kronos physically resurrect, which doesn't happen until the very end of book 5. No surprise, the films got a resounding D from most fans, and the plug was pulled on further sequels. Riordan didn't mince words about the whole experience in later years, likening the movies to "my life's work going through a meat grinder." Number 69. In an amusing turn, the Sea of Monsters film did manage one genuinely clever meta moment. It featured actor Nathan Fillion as Hermes, and he threw in a little inside joke. Fillion, who starred in the cult classic sci-fi show Firefly, added a scene where Hermes gushes to Percy about a TV show he loved. Best show ever. Of course, cancelled. This line was ad-libbed by Fillion as a wink to Firefly. Director Thor Freudenthal confirmed that Nathan came up with the perfect sly reference and they kept it in. Number 70. The Percy Jackson movies did assemble a notable cast of veteran actors around the young stars. The Lightning Thief in particular was filled with recognizable names. Pierce Brosnan played Chiron in a horse-body green screen rig, Sean Bean was Zeus, Kevin McKidd was Poseidon, Steve Coogan was Hades, Rosario Dawson cameoed as Persephone, and Uma Thurman played Medusa with a head full of snakes. Yeah, Kill Bill's Uma Thurman as Medusa, and she nailed it. Number 71. The main trio, meanwhile, were rising young actors. Logan Lerman as Percy, Alexandra Daddario as Annabeth, and Brandon T. Jackson as Grover. Despite this A-list and talented cast, even they couldn't save the movies from the script changes. Many of the actors have since said they knew fans weren't happy. Brandon T. Jackson once quipped that the films were so off course, we might as well have been making Harry Potter. At least the casting of actors like Bean and Brosnan gave us some fun, hey, it's that guy moments in the films. Number 72. One of the most glaring omissions in the movies was the character Clarice LaRue, the daughter of Ares and Percy's camp rival. Clarice is a significant character, especially in Sea of Monsters, where she has a whole subplot and quest. But she was completely left out of the first film. Fans definitely noticed. Clarice finally showed up in the second movie, played by Levin Rambin, but by then the damage was done. Leaving her out of The Lightning Thief removed an important source of tension at Camp Half-Blood, the bully character who isn't a villain but makes life difficult for Percy. The TV show happily corrects this. Dior Goodjohn plays Clarice in Season 1, reintroducing the character early on as Percy's snarling, spear-wielding camp nemesis, much to fans' delight. Number 73. Another character the film skipped over is the camp director Dionysus, or Mr. D. In the books, Mr. D is a cranky, wine-deprived god who's been sentenced to run Camp Half-Blood, and he's both comic relief and a reminder that the gods are very involved in camp life. The movies, however, never mention Dionysus at all. This was likely because they trimmed most of the camp scenes to focus on the road trip quest. Still, it felt odd to book fans. Who was running that camp? Just Chiron all by himself? Number 74. There is good news though. The Disney Plus series features Mr. D prominently, portrayed hilariously by Jason Mantzoukas. Within minutes of his introduction, he mangles Percy's name and complains about his Diet Coke, perfectly capturing the character. It's one more example of the show restoring a book favorite who was unjustly cut from the films. Number 75. Even though the movies were a disappointment to many, they did have a silver lining. They introduced a lot of new readers to the books. After the 2010 film, sales of the Lightning Thief novel reportedly spiked as curious moviegoers, especially kids, decided to check out the source material. Some young fans actually saw the movie first and then went, wait, the book is way better, and became Percy Jackson devotees. Riordan has playfully acknowledged this, half joking that if not for the movies bringing in new readers, the TV reboot may have never happened. So while the films aren't exactly celebrated, they did expand the demigod fandom in a roundabout way. Number 76. Percy Jackson's journey from page to screen, to stage, and beyond has been unusual. Early on, even before the first book was published, Riordan sold the movie rights to The Lightning Thief. In fact, the rights were sold in 2004, months before the book came out. Riordan agreed to this largely because it generated buzz and money that helped the series, and allowed him to write full-time. However, once you sell the rights, you lose control. Riordan later compared it to selling your house. Once it's sold, you can't tell the new owners how to decorate it. So when fans asked him, why did you let them change so much in the movie, Riordan could only shrug and say it wasn't his decision. It wasn't his movie. Number 77. On the flip side, Riordan was very careful with the TV rights. He held on to the idea of a do-over adaptation for years. When Disney acquired Fox, which had made the movies, fans hoped Disney might reboot Percy Jackson. In 2020, Riordan and his wife Becky pitched the series to Disney Plus, and crucially, Riordan insisted on being involved this time. He often joked that he didn't want to do anything with Hollywood unless he could have creative control. Disney, to its credit, welcomed Riordan's active participation. The result is what we see now, a show that fans feel finally does the source material justice. It's pretty rare for an author to get a second chance at an adaptation, let alone be a showrunner on it, making Percy Jackson's road to screen redemption one for the ages. Number 78. Beyond books, movies, and TV, Percy Jackson's story exists in almost every media format you can think of. There are graphic novel adaptations of the 5 Percy Jackson books with dynamic comic book artwork. There's an excellent audiobook series narrated by actor Jesse Bernstein that many fans adore. And of course, we've also mentioned the stage musical. Number 79. There's even a Percy Jackson coloring book, so you can color in scenes of Camp Half-Blood and your favorite monsters. Number 80. In 2010, around the time of the first movie, a Percy Jackson video game was released for Nintendo DS. Uniquely, the game was a turn-based RPG that actually incorporated some elements from the book that the film skipped. For example, the DS game, though based on the movie's plot, added back in Percy's battle with Ares, a fight the movie never showed. It also included the Lotus Casino and other key book moments. This meant that in a funny way, the game was more faithful to the source than the movie was. The graphics were modest, it's a DS game after all, but fans appreciated being able to play as Percy, Annabeth, and Grover, complete with turn-based mythological monster battles. Number 81. While Percy is the clear star of the series, Riordan has expanded the spotlight to other characters in new projects. In 2023, he co-authored a standalone novel called The Sun and the Star, which is all about Nico D'Angelo and Will Solis. Since Riordan is a straight author writing a gay couple, he brought in YA author Mark Oshiro to collaborate, to ensure Nico and Will's story was told authentically and respectfully. As a heterosexual man, I decided to co-write the novel with Mark Oshiro, to make sure that Nico's point of view as a gay person, as well as Nico and Will's romantic relationship, would be as authentic as possible, Riordan noted. The book follows Nico and Will on a quest in Tartarus, and delves deep into Nico's psyche. It debuted at number 1 on the New York Times bestseller list, proving how much love there is for the son of Hades. Riordan and Oshiro make a great team, and fans were thrilled that Nico got his own epic love story. Number 82. Even Riordan's own son, Haley, the boy who inspired Percy Jackson, became part of the published mythology. Haley wrote a short story called The Son of Magic, which was introduced in the Demigod Diaries. This story explores the fate of a minor character, a son of Hecate, after the Titan War, and gives a different perspective on the events of the main series. It was Haley's debut as a writer at about 16 years old, bringing the Percy Jackson experience full circle. The kid who inspired the books got to contribute to Percy's world himself. The Son of Magic is considered non-canon by Riordan, more of an experimental tale, but fans find it fascinating. It shows how Percy Jackson sparked a creative flame in the very family that gave him life. Number 83. The Greek mythology in Percy Jackson isn't just window dressing. Riordan did a ton of research to incorporate Greek myths accurately, but with clever twists. He includes many of the big legends: Medusa's head, the Minotaur, the Lotus Casino, a modern twist on the Lotus Eaters, the Golden Fleece of Polyphemus the Cyclops, Daedalus's Labyrinth, etc., often with a modern update. Number 84. One fun example. The entrance to the underworld in Percy's world is placed in Los Angeles under the Hollywood sign, a play on the idea of Tinseltown being full of lost souls, perhaps. And Mount Olympus is on the 600th floor of the Empire State Building in New York City, because Riordan's lore says Western civilization's heart moved to America. This concept that the Greek gods move with the center of power of the West actually ties into classical studies, the spread of Hellenistic culture, etc., which is pretty deep stuff for a kid's series. Riordan managed to make ancient myths feel alive in today's world, layering educational subtext beneath the action. Number 85. Percy Jackson is often mentioned in the same breath as Harry Potter. Both are blockbuster fantasy series that got a generation reading, but Percy has carved out his own unique legacy. While Hogwarts had magic and wands, Camp Half-Blood had mythology and celestial bronze swords. Percy Jackson took the familiarity of school stories and gave them a twist of ancient legend and modern humor. Reviewers early on called it the next generation's Harry Potter, but fans will tell you that Percy stands on his own. A kid from Manhattan with a sarcastic streak, a troubled home life, and a destiny he didn't ask for. Number 86. Interestingly, both these series feature a prophecy about a kid turning 16 that could decide the fate of the world. But where Harry's story was about confronting one dark wizard, Percy's is about reclaiming the spirit of Western mythology and making it inclusive and fun. In short, Percy Jackson took the baton from Harry Potter in the late 2000s as the must-read fantasy for middle schoolers, and in many classrooms, you'll hear Percy Jackson references as frequently as Potter ones. Number 87. The Oracle of Delphi, the spirit of prophecy in the books, is a mummified corpse that lives in the attic of the big house at camp. Riordan took the ancient concept of the Oracle, a woman through whom Apollo speaks, and literally made her a dead woman from the 1940s who occasionally spouts prophecies in iambic rhyme. It's spooky, funny, and a little sad since we later learn who she was. This mix of irreverence and respect for the source material is what makes Percy Jackson such a beloved take on Greek myths. Number 88. Riordan also weaves real historical events subtly into the Percy Jackson storyline. For instance, he implies that World War II was partially influenced by a conflict between the demigod children of Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. The big three gods had made a pact not to have more kids after World War II because their demigod offspring were too powerful and caused massive trouble. Hence Thalia, Percy, and Nico's very existence breaking a taboo. It's never overbearing, but the idea that the squabbles of the gods being behind the scenes of human history adds a cool layer of depth. Number 89. Likewise, the books mention ancient locations, like the Sea of Monsters actually being in the Bermuda Triangle, or Mount Othrys, the Titan's base, hovering over Mount Tam in California during the Titan War, blending myth with geography and history in creative ways. Number 90. The series doesn't shy away from acknowledging other pantheons. In The Titan's Curse, when Percy meets the goddess Artemis, she mentions there are many gods in the world and not all of them are Olympians, a nod that perhaps other global mythologies exist concurrently. This laid the groundwork for Riordan later expanding into Egyptian and Norse myths in separate series, and confirming with the Kane Chronicles crossovers that the Egyptian gods exist in Percy's universe too. The concept that all mythologies are true, they're just operating in different regions, is a fun spin that fans love to debate. Number 91. If you've ever wondered what order should I read these books in, you're not alone. With multiple series and crossovers, fans have debated the best reading order for new readers. The general advice, even echoed by Riordan, is start with the original Percy Jackson and the Olympians 5 books, then proceed to the Heroes of Olympus 5, then the Trials of Apollo. The Kane Chronicles and Magnus Chase can be read separately, they mostly stand alone, though Magnus does have that link to Annabeth. Number 92. Riordan's official site also suggests inserting the short stories where they fit chronologically, but he's quick to add that there's no wrong way to enjoy the books. Some readers actually started with Heroes of Olympus or Magnus Chase and then went back, and that's fine. The stories are crafted to be accessible, though you'll catch more references if you read them in publication order. No matter what, by the time you finish, you'll have spent a lot of time at Camp Half-Blood and beyond. Number 93. Percy Jackson's influence has extended to some real-life experiences too. Like we mentioned earlier, Camp Half-Blood exists outside of the books. Inspired by the series, real summer camps have been founded where kids roleplay as demigods. There's a Camp Half-Blood in Austin, Texas that's been running for over a decade, complete with camp counselors leading quests and capture the flag games. There are similar programs in other cities, often run by local educators or librarians, where kids get sorted into cabins and engage in myth-themed activities. These camps incorporate learning with physical play. It's a testament to how much Percy Jackson has resonated. It's not just reading, it's something that kids and their parents want to live. As one camp's motto says, train heroes since 2006. Number 94. Back to the page. Riordan didn't stop with Greek mythology when it came to writing guidebooks. He penned 2 fantastic companion books, Percy Jackson's Greek Gods and Percy Jackson's Greek Heroes. These are hefty, illustrated volumes where Percy himself narrates the classic myths in his trademark snarky, casual style. The idea came about when Riordan wanted to directly retell the original myths for his readers, but in a Persified way. The result is both educational and hilarious. For example, Percy opens Greek Gods by saying a New York publisher asked him to write down what he knows about the Greek gods, and he quips, "Can we do this anonymously? I don't need the Olympians mad at me again." He then says if it helps people survive an encounter with the gods, writing it down is his good deed for the week. The book proceeds to describe the creation of the world and the pantheon with gems like, if you like horror shows, bloodbaths, lying, stealing, backstabbing, and cannibalism, then read on, because it definitely was a golden age for all that. Percy's irreverent take makes ancient myths accessible and fun. Plus, John Rocco's illustrations in these books are absolutely beautiful. These companions are a must-read for any fan who wants to hear Percy chattering in their ear while learning about Zeus and company. Number 95. While Greek myths form the core of the Percy saga, Roman mythology plays a huge role too, especially in Heroes of Olympus. Riordan took care to differentiate how the Greek and Roman aspects of gods differ. In those books, the gods switch persona depending on context. Jupiter versus Zeus, for instance. Same god, slightly different personality. The Roman demigods at Camp Jupiter in California are more disciplined and militaristic, reflecting Roman culture, whereas the Greek demigods at Camp Half-Blood are more individualistic. This duality was a clever way for Riordan to explore themes of identity and cooperation. The heroes of Olympus have to literally unite Greek and Roman sides of their own heritage. It also taught readers a thing or two about Roman versions of the myths. Number 96. Fun fact, the Romans sometimes altered myths for propaganda, like claiming their hero Aeneas founded Rome. Riordan weaves this in by having Piper learn some of Jason's Roman myths and think, wow, the Romans tweaked that story to make themselves look better. Through entertaining dialogue, readers got a mini lesson in how culture can change storytelling. Number 97. Percy Jackson has inspired countless works of fan fiction and fan art. On sites like Archive of Our Own and Wattpad, there are literally tens of thousands of Percy Jackson fanfics, ranging from alternative pairings, Percy/Annabeth will always be the canon OTP, but you'll find every combo imaginable in fanfic, to next generation stories about Percy's kids, crossovers with other fandoms, and even retellings of the books from different characters' perspectives. Number 98. Riordan has generally had a positive view of fan creations. He says that he's flattered by fan fiction, and only asks that writers try not to publish it commercially, which is pretty standard. He's also shared a lot of his favorite fan art on social media. Every Tuesday, the official @RickRiordan account would do a hashtag FanArtFriday, or FanArtTuesday, showcasing amazing drawings and paintings from fans of Percy, Annabeth, and the rest. This engagement makes the fandom feel really rewarding. The author sees and appreciates fans' creative responses to his work. Number 99. One thing longtime readers appreciate is how Percy Jackson grew up with its audience. Percy is 12 in The Lightning Thief, which was middle grade, but by The Last Olympian he's 16, and the tone has darkened a bit. War, sacrifices, and even a small body count of characters we know. Then Heroes of Olympus skewed toward young adult territory with multiple POVs and a bit of romance. Some fans who started reading in 5th grade were in high school by the time The Blood of Olympus came out, and they often say the books matured at the perfect pace. Riordan managed to keep things age-appropriate while not shying away from heavier themes like accepting death, Nico's journey, or trauma, Percy's loyalty causing him grief. This is one reason Percy Jackson has such enduring appeal. Readers who grow older found the later books still resonated, and new young readers can binge the whole series and watch the evolution in a matter of months. Number 100. Over the past 2 decades, Percy Jackson and the Olympians has cemented itself as a classic, often mentioned in the same breath as Harry Potter, The Chronicles of Narnia, and other iconic fantasy series for kids. It's frequently taught in schools, it's sparked a renewed interest in mythology among young readers, and it's given us characters and quotes that remain in pop culture. Who can forget, with great power comes great need, take a nap. Or, if my life is going to mean anything, I have to live it myself. A Percy line and an Annabeth line that have inspired many. Now, with a hit TV series and new books on the horizon, Percy Jackson's influence only continues to grow. As Riordan has proudly noted, the series as a whole has been on the New York Times bestseller list for over 750 weeks, meaning an entire generation has grown up with Percy. Not bad for a story that began as a bedtime tale told by a dad to his son. Percy Jackson truly is the modern myth of our time, and he's here to stay. Long live Camp Half-Blood. What did you think of our 100 facts? Which ones surprised you the most? Did we miss any important ones? Make sure you let us know down in the comments. Also, make sure to like the video if you liked it and subscribe for more like this. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.